time for Motohop on Air.
Welcome to episode 5. We are recording this on Wednesday, September 20th.
Woohoo!
Woo! What do we have going on this week?
Apparently a lot.
A decent amount of stuff.
More news.
Yeah. Some weird stuff that's popped up across the interwebs that we'll cover. What is in your cup, though, to start? Because you have a fancy colored drink over there.
It's pink.
It is pink. Like a gradient of pink.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I think it might be the cup that it's in that's tapered, but it is another one of those True Lemon strawberry lemonade packets, and I put a popsicle in it, a lime popsicle. So
Okay.
it's I think it looks fancier than it is, but it's delicious, and that's all that matters.
Well, mine is nowhere near as fancy. I have 4 Roses bourbon and Coke.
I mean, it's got the same amount of ingredients, so I guess fancy is subjective.
It is quite tasty.
I wish mine had like something like pretty floating in it, like real fruit, but
Yeah.
you know, the Midwest just isn't that lucky to have produce other than zucchini this time of year.
Well, let's see. Where should we start? I think I have yet to see this be kind of covered in other places, but I came across this on Instagram. There is, it appears he was in a dealership, and he managed to take a modern Kawasaki key.
Who's he?
I believe the account is Moto Bros. They're out of Texas. Took a modern Kawasaki, like sport bike key, and put it in. I think it was a like Ninja 400, like a 1000, like 3 different Kawasaki's, same exact key.
It's Moto Bro TX.
Yep. Turned it on. He didn't actually start them, but you hear the fuel pumps kick on. So the indication from that is that they would start. If that is actually true, now, granted, there's only so many ways to key any lock tumbler. So there's a small chance, I guess, in theory, that he managed to find 3 different bikes that all had the same, like, pinning in the lock cylinder. But if they have a transponder in the key, you would imagine the fuel pump wouldn't fire.
The comments. So you're telling me I don't need to buy a Kawasaki, I just need to buy a Kawasaki key. And then the follow-up is Kawasaki, K-E-Y, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah. You don't need a Kawasaki, you only need a Kawasaki. Yeah. So worrisome, especially because I'm kind of like Kawasaki. So hopefully, if that is true, we see wider coverage and they get that sorted out.
Seems like an odd coincidence with the Kia stuff that just happened. It's like, it should be on everyone's forefront of their mind. Like, I don't know. Like, keys are not new technology, I guess, but
Yeah.
It makes you wonder. That Kia stuff started happening a couple years ago. So, like, are these new bikes?
Yeah, the Kia stuff was like, it wasn't that the keys were interchangeable. It was that you could remove the lock cylinder and then start the car without the lock cylinder.
No, but a general idea of, like, ignition theft.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not the same thing, but similar concept.
Yeah.
That should be on people's forefront, like I said. And I don't know. What an annoying thing to, like, buy something new, a new vehicle, and realize that something so simple is
not
so
simple.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think we'd have this sorted out by now.
Well, I guess how often does someone, I guess, like, a dealership's going to be the people, how often does someone have, like,
Yeah, it's
more
not
than one
like
key?
you run around and, like, stick your key in other people's vehicles to see if it works.
No, I mean, it would have to happen by, like, complete accident. Like, how often are you just like, I wonder if my key fits in your hole?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then a little bit of Motocompacto follow-up. So since the last episode, it seems to be more widely reported. They will be launching in November.
Still exciting. Still cute.
Yep. It's going to be Honda and Acura. It sounds like the automotive dealers.
Sounds like it's going to be the gift of the year.
And it'll be available, at least from what I've seen, through the Motocompacto website. I'll stick that in the show notes again this time, but it was also in the last episode.
I wonder what that material is that is like on the casing. You think it's plastic?
Yeah.
Because in order to like keep it as light as possible.
Yeah.
I wonder if window clings would work instead of just stickers. I
Like
wonder
a
if you can be
static
like,
cling?
yeah. I wonder if you can be like,
maybe
what
to
do I
some
want to be
extent.
today? Today I'm going to be a school bus and like
Yeah,
take your cling off and put a new one on.
You could just get a removable adhesive, like decal.
Well, I understand that, but like, what if you were in like a different mood every day?
Yeah, I mean, they make adhesives now that you can re-stick like a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, like a cling, or better.
A cling doesn't have adhesive.
Oh.
It uses static, like,
Oh, I guess that hence static cling.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but still pretty exciting. Still, like I said, still cute. Still looks like a scooter with a billboard, but that's okay.
Yeah. I will say, so we were driving, I don't know, a few days ago, and we started talking about the Motocompacto again. And while on paper, it is inferior to like the electric rechargeable battery mini bikes we talked last episode, it just intrigues me more.
Just because it's fun.
Yeah, it's different.
It feels like when the iPad Mini, not the iPad Mini, like when the Nano came out.
The iPod Nano?
iPod Nano.
Yeah.
It was just like, so like the concept, MP3 players had been out, like not an overly new concept, but like kind of just a new interface. It's just like exciting new toy. I don't know. I mean, I just
very intrigued.
I can't imagine those wheels are comfortable on anything other than concrete.
Probably not. I think there may be small amounts of aftermarket for this thing. So people may come up with some type of multi-terrain. I'm not going to call it full-blown all-terrain tire, but slightly less firm surface oriented.
Wonder if we could ride them in a parade.
Probably.
Put a billboard on there.
Yep.
Parade them little buggers. Put some tassels on them.
If every political campaign is not rocking these things at campaign events next year, I'm going to be very disappointed.
They're not that creative. Plus, they cost money.
They do, but not that much for a rolling billboard. Just go have your people handing out flyers, ride these around to go hand out flyers or whatever. I'm intrigued to see how much, I guess, like Motocompos have shot up in price in the past few years because they're not making any more of them.
Yeah.
How long will they make these? Will there be...
I think it depends on how many people buy.
Well, and do they plan on making a set number, right? They haven't announced this. Or are we going to run out of production space? Do they plan on having, a few thousand of these things? Or is it just going to be, if people keep buying them, they keep making them?
Yeah, if they don't say anything like that, though, then they're not committed.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go well, they're like, oh, only 1,000 units sold or whatever like that, and it can be a limited thing. If it goes well, obviously, like, reap that money.
Yeah. If it does end up being limited, there's going to be someone who buys, like, a, basement full of these and then flips them in a few years.
I wonder what the return policy is.
I don't know.
I wonder if you can order,
They're not selling them yet, so you don't know what the
3.
return policy is.
If you bought 3.
Yeah. Let's see. Zero's got some updates for some of their 2024 bikes. Just kind of moving some of their the S, DS, and DSR to their newer FST platform, which is where the SR and DSRX models already are. That'll leave, I believe, just...
God, it's like talking digital cameras. What a not creative naming convention.
Yeah, but it's easy to understand which models are kind of related because of that. So the DSR is like a off-road-ish oriented DS, and then the DSRX is beyond that. Okay, the FX and FXE will remain on the XMX platform. I believe that means everything will be on the FST, except for the FX and FXE models.
I have no
I
idea
know.
what you're
There's
saying.
a whole bunch of letters.
There's a chart and a link.
Yeah.
If you're like me, and
Show notes.
numbers and letters that aren't cohesively comprehensive are dead to me. Hence why I can never even remember, like, I'm like our main photographer a lot of the time, yet like I have no idea what any of our gear, like it takes me years to learn what I'm shooting with and what the numbers mean.
Yeah. It's okay because you happen to have a good eye for photography.
It's true. I'm creative, so I can just fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
So if you're a good writer, doesn't matter what numbers you have.
No.
Or if you enjoy it.
Few quick ones. Piaggio is working on variable valve timing for scooters. That'll potentially be cool. More power, less emissions, basically more efficiency at kind of lower end and higher end.
Does an average person know how to do that? Like variable valve timing?
What do you mean? It's going to be built into the engine. Like your Honda had VTEC, which was variable valve timing, but from Honda.
How about that?
Yep. So, but I don't know that anyone's doing it in single-cylinder engines. At least not anyone to the size of Piaggio. Of course, they have some slightly different version.
So is this
I guess Yamaha is doing it on small vehicles.
So it's
as
new
well.
technology?
It's not new technology, but it's new technology for this application. It's been used in larger engines, cars, some motorcycles for a while, cars for a long time. But bringing it to scooters, that'll be cool.
Yep.
AMA has had their last or most recent round of inductions into their Motorcycle Hall of Fame.
Does that happen every year, like at this exact time? Or is it like, well, let's just wait until someone's worthy?
That's a good question. I think they do it every year, but it may not be every year. It's on some pattern,
wonder if
like the
there's
Football Hall of Fame.
Is there like a ceremony that we could go to?
Yep, could have went.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, where were you?
Well, you don't want to ride like 100 miles on the scooter barely, so I can't envision us riding a two-wheeled vehicle to the AMA
Who
Hall
said
of
we
Fame
had to
induction.
ride a two-wheeled vehicle?
Where's the spirit in going to a Motorcycle Hall of Fame induction in a four-wheeled cage?
Oh, temperature controlled. Beautiful.
The
meet
gyro
me
has
there?
temperature control. We could get a gyro.
It's
Two
true.
of them. And go like 35 miles an hour
And
all
then
the
I'll
way
have
there.
storage too, because it'll take forever. So I'll need the picnic to put, snackos in.
Yeah. So Rita Coombs, Ryan Dungy, Barry Hawk,
Guess you could have looked up the
Grant
names.
Langston, and Travis Pastrana is the one most people were going to recognize.
Does he do more than motocross?
Yeah, he's done all kinds of stuff. He did a stint in NASCAR. He's done some rally racing. He's done
Fun life.
freestyle
And what, he's
motocross.
like 35 and he's outperformed all of us.
No, he's older than that.
Oh, thank God.
Let's see.
Dang, Rita Coombs is born in 1941. She's earned it.
Let's see. Pastrana's 39. Okay. Not that much.
Shattered.
Older. That makes me feel as bad as finding out what age we were talking about NFL head coaches. Sean McVay started head coaching at like 31. And then Mike Tomlinson from the Steelers started at like 34.
Started.
Yeah. Could have been an NFL head
You
coach
still
by
have time.
now. Yeah.
You still have time. You got a few years.
Yeah. So yeah, great that they were inducted into the Hall of Fame. This was an interesting one. I know not everyone listening to this who has Bluetooth in their helmet is a Cardo user. I am.
So why did you pick Cardo?
For a few different reasons. Between reviews, they have a different connection method other than just Bluetooth. They're DMC mesh network, so you can connect more riders. That, and they have JBL is working with them for their speakers and sound profiles and stuff.
Love it.
I got a questionnaire, and I kind of forgot that I got the questionnaire until this week. I forget if it popped up in the app or if it was in my email or what. But I was doing something Carter related, and they had a little like user feedback questionnaire. And one of the questions was, would I'd be interested in being able to just have like an open communication channel.
Oh, like
so other riders
like a
in
CB
proximity.
channel,
Yeah, like channel 19 on the CB.
Oh, that's kind of a cool idea. I wonder how far it would go though, because like bikers, unless you're in like a pack, you've got to kind of like be close proximity.
DMC, I believe, quotes the range at like some ridiculous, like 2 miles. It's not actually going to work at 2 miles. It's like 2 miles with the line of sight.
No, but it would cool if you were doing like a charity ride or something and you had like 4 or 5 friends.
Between that and like
cool.
if you roll up to a stoplight and there's someone there, you can talk to him through your helmet instead of both of you awkwardly trying to pause your music rapidly, open your visor, and then yell over each other's exhaust and not hear each other.
Would you have to like be distracted by like finding a channel or something though, like at CB?
No, you would just like engage that you want to be on the open channel, and if other riders are also on it, they haven't announced they're bringing this forward, but they're asking about it. Yeah.
I mean, yes and no. I guess if someone's like raging behind you, you don't really want to hear them, but
sure. But you can also just
pretend
turn it
like
off.
You don't, because you don't really know who's listening.
Yeah.
Huh. You could have a code name.
Yeah, you could have a handle.
Oh my goodness. I never got a handle last time we created handles. I'm still waiting.
I thought we did give you one, but I'll have to think about it. Interesting idea, though. I know Nokomoto had talked about that idea at one point. Interesting to see that it is
wear it at like
forward.
Mid-Ohio or something, too. It could be like a whole thing. I wonder if you could take it out of your helmet and like put it to a speaker or something. Like you could just like sit around the campfire. And,
they released a headset you can wear. So it's like headphones with a mic that you can lock your cardo onto.
So people don't have to wear helmets, or for alternative uses?
For alternative uses, like if you are at a racetrack and you have like a crew chief or someone that wants to talk to you. That way he doesn't have to put a helmet on.
Yeah.
He can just have headphones and a microphone and you can have it in your helmet. Stuff like that.
Interesting. I wonder then if you could get like a,
or
like I said, like a speaker or something, but sit around and listen without talking to hear what everyone else is saying if you're at like an event or something.
Yeah, I'm sure we could figure it out.
It's kind of like old technology reused. It's kind of funny when stuff like this comes up because you're like, why hasn't like...
Why did CB die? I don't know. I wish it would come back. I love CB radio.
Bring it back. This is your chance. But like on a different scale, like it's kind of a cool idea. Like, I don't know. I feel like with technology today, we're just all slowly losing connection, which is like really ironic. It's like, let's create more technology that needs us to communicate less.
Yeah.
It's lonely out here.
Yeah. I think we talked briefly in another episode of trying to reestablish the human connection in multiple ways. And an open channel on Bluetooth helmet communicators is, I don't know, an interesting idea.
There's always
bring
abusers,
the camaraderie
though.
Back into it.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, there's always abusers. So, like, it's going to be hit or miss.
Just like on CB, there will be someone just singing at the top of their lungs on the open channel.
Someone who always gets on and says, candy cane.
Yeah, something like that.
You've seen that movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a very deep voice. I can't. Can't do the creeper voice.
What else do we have here? Bunch of close to new bikes. The one thing I want to address, as someone who's got to look through a bunch of new sites, and not has to, I did this before we started the podcast, because I like reading about motorcycle stuff, because I like motorcycles. The amount of coverage there is for Chinese models that we're never going to see in the States.
Where are you getting your information from?
Well, they're all over the place because most of these sites are trying to not just focus on the U.S., but kind of global news. But it just depresses me sometimes because occasionally they come out with something really cool that I'm just like, it's never going to end up in the United States.
I wonder what the ratio of drivers that have bikes over there is. There's just so many people, it doesn't matter. Even if it was like 10%, it would still be like more than U.S. riders.
Yeah. A couple of the ones that have been kind of across my radar recently. There's a brand, X Wedge, that's doing big V-twin cruisers. So kind of Harley competitor. It sounds like they're ripping off an S&S engine design. They're going to be close to 2,000 cc's.
X Wedge.
Yep.
What a name.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like, is that like the actual name, like when you say names in English, or is that like a translated name?
I have no idea. It's just what's in the articles that I've read. But yeah, almost 2000 cc V-twin, like I said, looks like it's been copied from an S&S design, at least initial reports. Like 100-ish horsepower, a little over 100 pound-feet of torque.
Kind of a funky headlight.
Well, there's going to be like a Road King-ish model, a Street Glide / Ultra Classic-ish model. They're doing a regular trike, a reverse trike, like a Can-Am.
Sidecar.
They're doing a sidecar version. Yeah. And the sidecar is kind of like an Earl, where it'll drive the sidecar tire as well. So, interesting. But again, it'll probably never land in the States.
Do you think we need more bikes?
Always. Always more bikes. And then Cove has recently, kind of, a couple of their models have popped up. They've got a retro looking, think the Moto Guzzi we covered last week, styled like retro racer, and then they've got an adventure bike. They look awesome. Probably never see them. So, spy shots of the Ducati Desert X Rally. I almost forgot that part. Desert X Rally. That's kind of exciting. And somewhere I saw they're going to try and do a rally. I forget what the rally was. It's like 200 some miles long. They're going to try and do it on a single tank of fuel in under 24 hours on the new rally. Just more, off-road / race oriented.
Looks like a dirt bike.
I mean, kind of. You gotta, where, oh, I put the wrong link in here. There's another one, the spy shots, yes, down further. There's an Instagram link to the spy shots.
Oh.
Taller windshield.
See, the one that I had looked at didn't, like, I guess this one at least looks like it's wrapped.
Yep. I was intrigued by the Desert X to begin with, so more trims, yay. I can get down with that. Also spy shots of a new Ducati Supermoto single cylinder they're working on. Sounds like 650-ish. Nothing super specific ironed out yet. Going to be competing in that kind of KTM 690 range. 659 is what they're guessing, because of some National Highway Traffic Safety Administration
loophole,
like certification. Sorry. So more new Ducatis. Norton may eventually come out with another motorcycle. Maybe eventually. They're working on an electric platform with Cosworth, which is kind of interesting. Do you know who Cosworth is?
Nope, never heard of them.
Okay, they made a really cool Ford Escort.
Just one?
A couple.
Why
They're
were
known
they
for
making escorts?
Well, it was just one of the things they've made more than that, but they worked with Ford. It was like a high performance trim of the Ford Escort, the Ford Escort Cosworth, and then it was like a rally car and stuff. So they're just known for like high performance cars, engines, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So they're working with Norton on an electric platform. We've got some pictures of a battery kind of pack cutaway that they're working on that's like immersion cooling. New BMW R1300 GS teased. It's going to be officially announced on the 28th. So depending on when we record the next episode, maybe by the next episode it'll be out. We're taking the 1250 and probably bumping displacement and some new features. everyone likes the big BMW RGS, so I'm sure a bunch of people will buy them.
Does every bike need to come out with a new version each year?
No, I don't remember how long the R1250 GS has been out, but I believe it was originally the R1100. I don't remember if they had an 1150. Then we went to the 1200, 1250, now the 1300. Just a slow progression. If we keep it up, maybe before I die, we'll see like some ridiculous like R3000.
Jesus. You'd think they'd plateau at some point.
Well, they just keep creeping up slowly. So, I don't know. Maybe. Suzuki over in the UK has released a click-to-buy functionality for their 125 scooters.
Can you get it, like, is it dropped off at your house then?
Yeah, it's like coordinated through whatever dealership's closest to you.
DoorDashed?
Yeah, I don't know if it's DoorDashed, but it's an intriguing concept because I'm sure you feel exactly the way I feel. I just love buying things from dealerships.
I go in there and I'm pre-raged.
Yes. So I don't know that we'll ever see.
Well,
at least
that's like
anytime soon.
Carvana. That's what the people were doing there, right? Same concept. I mean, obviously,
Trying
like
to, yeah.
buying an exact motor vehicle instead of these being new, you can kind of like check inventory like you do with your Target order. Like,
Yeah.
where's the one I want? Okay, like, do I need to pay extra? It looked like there was like $100 shipping fee or something, and then it said click to buy or whatever, but I don't remember seeing, like, do they drop it off or do you have to go get it still?
I don't remember. I don't know that they mentioned that specifically, but it's just the whole idea of being able to bypass the dealership that's intriguing to me. We have, as much as there's certain dealerships I love, there are plenty that I've interacted with that I have no love for and would prefer to never have to deal with them ever again.
Well, and I guess that takes away negotiating power too. I mean, to the advantage of the dealers.
Yeah.
They know they're getting asking price. They're not wasting their time. You know, like they're really cutting down. Should be on both sides unless I feel like there's not as much wiggle room or opportunity to take advantage of a buyer buying something that's like new compared to used anyways. There's MSRP. There, you know, like...
You mean they're not going to upsell you like 47 things in the finance department?
They still probably could. It could be like going through your Vistaprint checkout.
Well, sure.
Here's all these things, but what about these things? What about these things? What about these things? And just completely overwhelm you and default check things. But it's a different, like, go around. You're on your turf. What I'm saying is, like, if you buy a used bike, you know, they're probably going to already have it marked up something, you know, and like...
Sure. I mean, they're not doing used motorcycles.
I know. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, the difference.
But I can't buy anything new from, like, Honda motorcycles or Harley Davidson online. I've got to go to a dealership. Part of that is the laws in this country. Tesla has managed to circumvent those. They're kind of the only ones who have done it so far.
Carvana did it too, although I never really went through that buying
Carvana
process.
technically has a bunch of dealerships.
Yeah, but I thought the whole point was buying something online.
You can, yes. They offer you that option. But again, all used vehicles.
Motorcycle vending machines?
Hey, give me a motorcycle vending machine, man.
Again, probably have them in like Tokyo or something.
Yeah, maybe.
We're just not cool here.
Yeah, but intriguing idea. Also made me look. I was like, I forgot temporarily that Suzuki makes the Bergman. That is the only scooter they offer in the U.S. They make a Bergman 200 and a Bergman 400. Which
company was that?
Suzuki.
Oh.
They make a bunch of different scooters elsewhere in the world. Two in the U.S. And only the Bergman in 2 different engine sizes.
I wonder if you could vote to get ones here. Like, why don't they bring them over? Is it just because of import fees and like the paperwork just isn't worth it?
Yeah, I mean, because you have to look at the cost to get it certified for the U.S. versus consumer demand for a product, right? It's got to work out in their favor. Apparently, it's just not.
Yeah.
For the bulk of their models,
it's
at least.
It's not any warmer there, is it? They have like a
the
better...
UK?
No, it's not going to be. Oh, I didn't
No.
realize it was UK. You said Suzuki, and I was assuming, isn't it like
Japan? Yeah, but no, this was specifically in the UK. They're doing the click to buy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at that, UK. Proud of you.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I hope this is more widely adopted. I hope it eventually creeps into the US.
It's interesting.
I think
you don't really like think of the UK as being somewhere ahead of the curve for you don't hear that very often. It's always like more populated areas. Like China, Tokyo really has like the density and like they just have like a different buying like culture over there.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like we're kind of boring here as far as like our marketing and stuff. No one's very creative. So I don't know. I guess it'd be interesting to kind of see some of those ads, seeing how they're approaching it, how they're marketing it, how they're pushing it. It's aside from just the concept of like, oh, it's there. Like, okay, cool. But like, what's that actually look like? You know anyone in the UK we can have like screen share with us?
No one off the top of my head, but I'm sure we can VPN over there to look at the purchasing.
I might be able to drop in the DMs of someone on 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
There's an entire spin-off series.
90 Day Fiancé UK Motorcyclist Edition.
Okay, not motorcyclist, but UK, yes.
Okay.
So that means I have at least like a 50% chance because like half of the people have to be from there.
Yeah.
I'll just tell them it's like a media opportunity for them. I don't think they pay very well on that show. They might be excited for some stickers.
Yeah, they might be.
We do pay in stickers.
We do. At least for now, we pay in stickers. Let's see. Where do I want to go from there? This one, real quick. While looking at news stories this week, there were a couple things that, like, in related articles, really cracked me up. One was this article on topspeed.com titled, "Why the 2023 Suzuki GSX-R 750 is the perfect first bike."
I don't know where the article is. Is it in your list here?
Yeah, it's in the notes. Go down to ridiculous first bike suggestion. Ridiculous.
Oh, I found it.
Because it is ridiculous.
Let's see. Oh, it looks fast.
Yeah. Every single picture in this article.
It's like on a professional raceway.
Yes, is showing it on the racetrack because guess what? The GSX-R or Gixxer 750 is fast. It's real fast. To think that this is a good suggestion for a first motorcycle is kind of astonishing to me. First off,
from a financial standpoint, because the thing they focus on is bang for your buck, but also realize this is topspeed.com. Do you think it's a little bit of a bias? Like this is for their market?
No, like the name of the website doesn't correlate to their coverage directly, other than it's automotive / motorcycle related. It's not just all about really fast stuff. But in a large portion of the world, you couldn't start on this bike. It has too much power. In the US, we don't have a tiered licensing system for motorcycles. Like over in the UK, you start with a 125, and you have to have that for so many years before you can progress to an A2 license, which I believe off the top of my head is like an under 50 horsepower bike.
Seems like they're really banking on the longevity and stability of like the name, the bike itself.
Listen,
the like bang
I'm
for the buck.
not saying it's not a fantastic bike. What I'm saying is it is ridiculous to say it is a fantastic first bike. This is a 121 horsepower sport bike.
I understand that. I'm just saying that they don't, they're just trying to like leverage kind of the facts. They're obviously not worried about the experience of actually being on there or the safety or learning to ride the bike. They're like, it's a great value and it's been around for 38 years, so you're going to be able to find parts for it. And that's like all they focus on.
Sure.
Hopefully,
my favorite
38
part
years
is
on this bike.
Towards the end, they have, whether you're a prospective buyer doing research or a concerned parent that wants to make sure your kid's first motorcycle isn't going to put your baby angel in danger, the Suzuki GSX-R 750 is the kind of bike that is well respected among casual weekend riders and avid racers.
Heck, so there's an overlap in casual weekend riders and avid racers?
I mean, sure, to some extent, but if you're buying your kid his first bike and you're like, you know what seems like a reasonable decision, 121 horsepower sport bike that has class racing divisions formed around it.
Kudos to parents that want to put money towards a bike at all. I feel like it's one of those things that's like, fine, you want it, you buy it type of deal, probably in most.
Yeah. I hope this was a tongue-in-cheek article. I really hope so.
Maybe it's April Fool's. Did you look at the date?
Yeah, because if they...
3 days ago.
Yeah. If they legitimately think this, it is a great bike for an experienced motorcyclist.
All right, so let's go through the headers here.
Dollar and everything.
So they've got over 38 years of production, affordability, reliable handling, power under control.
Yeah.
A sport bike you can grow into.
Yes, you can grow into it. As long as you manage to not be reckless, which most young riders are, myself included was, and manage to not kill yourself until you are responsible enough to grow into the power.
It gives newer riders enough control to develop their confidence riding into the real world. How inspiring. And once they acquire greater amounts of confidence, they will feel more comfortable exploring some of the stronger capabilities this bike has to offer.
I forget the horsepower your Honda Civic had, but off the top of my head, I think it was like 90. Okay, so this is more power than your Civic in a significantly lighter package.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is where you should start.
Because that car felt really slow.
Yeah, but the gearing's different here, significantly less weight. I've always thought about buying a 750, a Gixxer 750. I've ridden a Gixxer 600. I probably could have done at least 60 in second gear.
I wonder if they have a way to like lock it into first gear.
I mean,
yeah, it'd be a great bike if you
of.
like forced
Yeah.
The first and second gears are more than enough for most people to go out for a casual weekend ride on this bike anyways. And only the more experienced riders that take bikes like this out to the track to really unlock its riding potential. But newer riders don't have to worry about that for a long time. I don't really know if I understand what they mean by that.
They're just trying to say that if you ride it responsibly, it's not a ridiculously like crazy bike. But when you're ready for the power, it's there. If you want to go race on a
As
racetrack.
if we've always been really good at like pacing ourselves when we're 18, 20, 21 years old. You know, like everyone's just, self-control is the top of our priority list when you're 20 years old.
That's kind of my point. Is like, it's ridiculous suggestion. As much as I love the bike, I feel like it is wholly irresponsible to suggest that motorcycle is a first bike. How much does
it cost?
$12,000.
God, that's I think my first car 12. Was. I imagine they're not talking brand new. They're just saying in general.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no comments on this article, is there?
They do go through 2020 has a JD Power average retail of 10.8, but you can get them cheaper than that older. It's like a 400 and some pound bike with 121 horsepower. It's just, not good. Not a good suggestion. Fantastic bike, not a first one.
I didn't realize how long this article was.
Yeah.
It just keeps going. And there's some
I hope
ads.
it was entirely tongue-in-cheek.
And I wish there was
it's not quite written fully that way, but it's almost there. So I'm hoping. Triumph, and eventually I think we're going to see this across the entire adventure motorcycle range, especially the kind of higher end models. I'll be surprised if BMW doesn't add it to their R1300 GS. If they don't get it now, they'll catch it on the R1350, I'm sure. But Triumph on the Tiger 1200 is adding, they're calling it active preload reduction. Basically the automatic ride height that Harley put on the Pan America. As much as kind of most motorcyclists, especially not in the Harley camp, and even some of the people in the Harley camp like to hate on Harley. When they put their mind to something and want to innovate, I will admit they can innovate.
They should have the resources to.
Yeah, they don't do it very often, but they do it from time to time. To take a big adventure bike in, I'm sure on a whiteboard somewhere when they were developing that model, and decide that something important to them was to be able to maintain the ground clearance at speed, but when you come to a light, they want to accommodate shorter riders and have the bike automatically lower itself is a pretty cool idea. I think everyone's going to follow
that break?
Them. Yeah, I mean, anything can break.
Huh. Yeah. That's tricky. But that would definitely be make or break for a lot of people because, like, if you can't confidently stop, you ain't going to ride it. Like, who wants to risk dumping their bike?
Well, especially because these aren't cheap bikes. Like, these are the higher
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
No one wants to be the one who can't hold their bike up. It doesn't matter if it's 100 pounds or 1,000 pounds. Like, no one wants to be. No one's going to buy that bike.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are a lot of variable heights. You know, like short people. It's just something you don't think about.
The world would be much simpler for most products if humans were one size.
Well, you're talking to someone who buys women's clothing.
Yeah.
God, it's insane. It's a crazy world out there. Even like at my gym, you know, like thank goodness we do free weights and stuff, but you almost have to because it would be impossible. As like someone who's 5'5", those machines aren't made for me. They're made for 6 foot tall men. Yeah. And it's just like the world just assumes everyone's a 6 foot tall, 200-pound male.
Wouldn't it be great if it had automatic ride height lowering? If it lowered itself?
It doesn't even need automatic. It just needs like manual.
Yeah.
Give me some sort of a balloon.
Yeah. But
I would be worried about like a fail though. Like obviously where there's technology, there's room to fail. Yeah. So it kind of makes you wonder.
If it fails I think I'd want it to fail in the upright position if I was legitimately riding off-road. At least the Pan America, you can get it with or without that feature. It's not required. I'm sure Triumph will probably make it an option as well.
It would be cool if they could make, I know it like increases problems dramatically, but to be like, there's 3 heights of this, you know, like there's lengths of pants, be like regular, petite, and tall for, even if you had to pre-order like different bikes. I don't know if you could change the tire, if there'd be that flexibility, but...
What are you trying to accomplish by having 3 different heights?
Oh, for different, like, height riders to be able to be on the same bike. Like, if...
I mean, you can set how much it lowers it.
Well, I'm not talking about this bike specifically. I'm saying if there was, like, a maker out there that was like, we just want to create a bike.
Making bikes in a bunch of different... Like, the same bike in a bunch of different sizes.
Yeah, even if, like, starting, there was just one bike you did it for.
You know who's worked on that?
No.
I mean, everyone to kind of some extent has played with that, but my favorite brand, Kawasaki.
Oh. Kawasaki's your favorite brand?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I have multiple Vulcans.
I know. I just don't think Vulcan when I think Kawasaki.
The Vulcan S, they came out with a lot of kind of ergonomic fit options for that. So they had like multiple different seats, multiple different like handlebar placements, multiple different foot control placements. So whether you were like short-legged, long torso or whatever, they could accommodate that bike to in a bunch of different ways. You can kind of do that to most bikes anyways. You could put a lowering kit on them if you needed to. You could, change out the handlebars or the risers. But it would be interesting to see more manufacturers do that. I'd love it for scooters.
Yeah, because you've got the opposite problem.
Yeah. There are plenty of scooters. Like, even my Royal Alloy, the bars are a little low.
Well, you had to buy your scooter based on how you fit into it. Same as anyone buys a lot of things, though.
Yeah, but like, there's a lot of scooters I'd love to ride that I just don't fit comfortably on.
Especially if they're coming from like Asia or something. Those people are just obviously just a little bit smaller, and they're not going to default into thinking about like, oh, what about someone who's, over 6 feet tall?
Or 6 foot tall.
Well, your proportions are like more. You have longer legs, so you're kind of like hypothetically like 6'2". Yeah,
even someone who's 6 foot tall is outside the range of some of those scooters.
Well, huge opportunity here for someone, even if it wasn't like, I don't know, like not everyone wants to go and be like, yeah, I know you can change the steering wheel and you can change this and you can do that, but like some people are buying bikes because they're in the city and they don't have a garage and like they can't do those things. They don't want to be tearing a bike in their living room, or they just want something quick and easy that fits them.
I mean, they might want a bike in their living room and their wife just won't let them.
Well, maybe they should buy their own living area.
I'm still petitioning to bring a bike in for Christmas this year and to decorate it.
Oh, maybe we can get a Motocompacto.
Oh, there we go.
That'd be cute.
It's an even better reason to buy a Motocompacto.
Because you won't be able to ride it outside, really.
We could put a Christmas tree decal on the side of it. And if we got real creative, I think bet you if I can get sticky
LEDs somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I can get an extra side panel, we could like inset LEDs into the side panel.
Well, there's like sticky LEDs you could do anyways. Or just get one of those twinkly pixel like what were those, the squares that they have?
Yeah.
The LEDs, and just do like a pixel Christmas tree on the side.
Yeah, that goes back to my whole idea of like mounting an LCD panel to the side of one and just have like being able to like show different.
Yeah, there's something kind of fun about like some
something.
like old school pixel art. If you could do, I feel like it's cool to have like the high tech, like, you know, spell things out sort of stuff, but it's also cool to have like a 20 pixel Christmas tree.
Yeah. Yeah, just excited about the Motocompacto. Really am. How many are we getting? Like 5?
Oh, dear God.
One for each.
So if anyone needs a website, Matthew's
work,
available for some website work, and our prices may or may not have just doubled.
I forgot to tie this one back to the UK. The 2 first electric Kawasaki's should be arriving there in October. I think they're supposed to arrive here in October too. Or at least were at one point. I haven't heard anything stateside about these other than there was some rumblings a bit ago. The Ninja E1 and the Z E1, which I get they're trying to tie it into the Z line, but a Z E1 is kind of a interesting name choice.
R2B2.
Yeah. So on the smaller end, like 12-ish horsepower, they're going to be like competitive with like 125s. The important part to me, though, is top speed of 61.5 miles an hour claimed.
61.5 miles per hour, is that what you said?
Yeah.
61.5 miles per hour.
Yeah, 61.5 miles an hour.
They didn't just say over 60. That seems like something marketing would do.
Well, maybe.
It's kind of a cool, like, honestly, like, I don't like Ninjas. This would be fun. It's so much smaller. It'd be fun with some fun tires on.
Yeah.
I just don't like the look of street tires. Obviously, I'm not in it for the function, but I like the look of a knobby tire.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it honestly looks like a very manageable size bike for someone of smaller stature, and I'm sure it's very quiet.
Well, and 61.5, well, may not be highway, like interstate capable, crosses a threshold for me. Yeah. To do like back road stuff in Ohio, like even if I'm trying to avoid, you know, highways / interstates and go the back roads to Columbus, I've got to do at least 55. And I've got to be able to do 55 up a hill.
Yeah. We have enough
to not
hills.
feel like I'm impeding traffic.
And I wouldn't say that we have an irrational amount of hills either. We probably have like an average amount of rolling hills that like it's a good baseline. Like obviously there's much worse places that it's like we'd be a good middle of the line place to test that out.
Yeah. So 61.5, I think kind of is my bar for
that half.
Well,
it
okay.
Kills me.
60 miles an hour is kind of my bar because that means I can probably do 55-ish up a hill. I can do a little over 55 on flat ground and I can likely maintain 55 up a hill, which means I will not, be afraid to ride at places.
If you like max power it often, you think it would kill the battery quicker?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So if you're riding like full 60.5.
Yeah, it's whatever they quote. I don't even know if they have like range numbers out yet. Whatever the range is normally the first number they throw out is the city range. And if you're at full tilt or highway-ish speed, take that number and chop it in half.
Yikes.
But this would be an excellent commuter bike for now my commute's not very long. But the roads
2 miles.
I would take, like if I had a longer commute with those style roads, it would check the box.
Yeah.
45 miles an hour, hills, totally fine.
And what's its range?
I don't think they've released any of that yet. I haven't seen it
That's kind of
anywhere.
a make or break, unless you can get different batteries or something.
Well, so Kawasaki is tied in with the other Japanese Big Four that they're supposed to be doing swappable batteries. I don't know if this is going to have the swappable battery in it, but I know they're tied in with that group that's working towards having swappable batteries in their bikes.
That'll be good.
So, should be in UK in October, stateside.
UK's
eventually.
crushing it.
Yeah.
I feel like they probably have a more mild winter too. For some reason, in my head, I don't see UK with snow, but
Yeah, I mean, it
What do
snows
I
there,
know?
but it also, Motorcycles and Misfits. Liza was talking about her trip there and the like newfound respect she has for riders from the UK because it's just normal to have rain gear on you because you're not going to let like rain stop you from riding,
yeah,
which there are a lot of fair weather riders in the US.
because we all have alternative vehicles, we can be.
Yeah.
If we had
sure.
to, it'd be different, or if
Yeah.
it was more culturally normal, or if we didn't have to drive like 30 miles in each direction all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like in the Midwest too, it's a little different because everything's kind of spread out.
Yeah.
Different culture.
For sure. All right. I'm going to tell you the name of a vehicle.
I hope it has a bunch of numbers and
And you
random
tell
letters in
me
it.
your first reaction.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you the model first. The model is the Mantis.
Ooh,
The
like a praying
brand-
mantis.
Yep. The
Like a T-Rex.
brand
Okay.
is RAR.
Ooh, I'll buy 2.
For real?
I don't know. I just really hope that it's got some sort of little T-Rex on the side, like when your browser doesn't load. Who does that? Chrome?
Yeah, Chrome.
That's a RAR.
Yeah. Mantis, I feel, is a fitting name. If you don't have a
It
pulled up
sounds
yet.
like a
It's
child's
very,
bike.
It's
Ooh.
very
Does
skeletonized.
it have pedals? It looks like a moped.
No, it's like a dirt bike.
What?
Yeah.
I did not look at this in advance.
Yeah. RAR, though,
God, this thing goes fast. Looks kind of scary. It doesn't look like it should go fast.
no, I mean, there's just not a whole lot there.
165 pounds. Oh, it's
Yeah,
expensive.
with the battery. 33.5-inch seat height. $5,000. I mean, the
How
realm
fast
of
does it go?
e-motos, not super expensive. I don't know that they have a top speed here.
Well,
Literally, the
hopefully
only thing I put it
faster
on
than-
here for was the ridiculousness of the name to me.
Well, hopefully faster than the Motocompacto because it's $5,000.
The RAR, RAWRR, like,
Oh, like in 2005 when we were all cutesy writing our AOL names
Yes.
and writing RAR on everything.
yes, and like your MySpace and everything. Yeah. I don't know who thought this was a good brand name.
It's adorable.
It's hard for me
You
to
know what
take
they
it
probably
serious,
did?
but
They probably went throughout the company and did some sort of like survey or game, and whoever wins got free like a $25 gift card at Amazon. This is what happens when you design by committee. You get stuff like this. And this is always what happens when companies are like, our marketing department needs help. Let's help them and and everyone submits horrible things, but you have to pick something because at that point everyone knows you're going to pick something and you have to have a winner.
yeah, and RAR was better than like Bodie McBoatface. Yeah. I don't know. It says it put in sport mode, push an adult up to 50 miles an hour, and it got there in a hurry.
Would you want to go 50 miles per hour on a bicycle? Because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of bike there. Claimed maximum 7,500 watts, about 10 horsepower.
The picture of these people are in motocross gear. Like, that's what you need to be safe on this thing. This does not seem like...
Well, like I said, it's a dirt bike-ish. It's really light.
Oh, I'm sure it would be really fun, like, to use, like, a dirt bike, It's light. It's
I
bouncy.
know why you're having trouble taking this serious.
Why?
Because it's called RAR.
Rar Mantis.
I don't know.
I mean, you can't even say it without, like, making the noise. Rar.
Yeah, that's half of my issue.
Is it a road bike or is it just a dirt bike?
It's just a dirt bike.
Oh, I thought it was a road bike and they just so happened to, like, show it.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure they'll come out with one and then we'll be like,
The Rar Road.
20 years from now, we'll be looking at a bike on the street and like, oh, what's that thing? It's a RAR. Hopefully with the like, cat claw movement. I hope that becomes a thing.
I'm still sticking with the dinosaur. The Pixel dinosaur. It has a really nice dashboard, though. Did you scroll down and see that?
Yeah. It's got a pretty
Digital
cool
dash.
dash.
I don't know if any other dirt bikes have a digital dash right now.
Most of your like, E ones.
God, it would be so weird to go to like motocross and there not be any noise.
Well, you hear the whine of the engine. This wasn't even the most ridiculous one. I didn't even put one on here. Someone's announcing one that has, I think it was like 700 and some foot-pounds of torque. Like, to put that in perspective, the X5 makes like 600 and something with a twin-turbo diesel.
Mm-hmm.
More than that on a dirt bike. It has to be a dirt bike because if it actually got traction, you would, in the tire hooked up, the bike would just flip itself. We've approached too much power.
So an interesting line here is, it's very low noise, makes it unobtrusive to neighbors if you have room for a backyard moto.
Yeah.
And is half the price of some high-end e-mountain bikes. So I guess if you look at it as an e-mountain bike instead of a dirt bike, it's kind of an interesting perspective. I wonder...
Yeah, it's back to that weird spot where...
What mountain bike trails are going to let you have an e-bike on them, though?
Well, and it's not an e-bike. There's no pedals. That's half the issue. Is these bikes that are in this weird gray area. You basically have to treat it like a dirt bike.
I wonder if they're going to rewrite some laws.
We're going to have to eventually. Because these things aren't being treated like dirt bikes, even though they are. And they're definitely not bicycles.
Only one speed.
Yep.
Fast.
Well, I mean, no. It has different modes. You can put an Eco 1 that limits the top speed to 20 miles an hour.
Well, there's comments on this article.
I don't know. It's an
people
interesting...
don't want to wait for it to charge in the comments. That to me is like minor details.
Yeah, again, I put it on here for the ridiculous of the name, but...
It's so much more than that. I don't judge you by your name.
I didn't notice whether or not it has a swappable battery.
It does.
It does have a swappable battery?
It looks like that in the comments. Obviously, I didn't read through this.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's relevant what they're talking about, but I don't know.
I don't know. Really tiny bike. Link show notes if you want to click on and look at it.
Oh, no, it says right in it. There's specs at the bottom. It says battery, swappable Samsung lithium, 35.
They kind of have to be in this category. Like, if you're going to have a dirt bike that you're going to ride at the track.
If you're going to have any electronic bike and you're going to depend
batteries.
on it, especially if it has like decent range, it's just a chance that you're going to get, any range, you're going to get stuck somewhere. I don't know. It's cute. It's honestly like a really fun looking bike. There's just not a lot of application for it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of names, we have a look at the more street-oriented version of the new V-Strom 800 that'll be here in 2024. I'm sure it'll be a fine bike. At what point do you abandon a name for a model because the name was related to a feature of that model? When you have a bike and you call it the V-Strom because it has a V-twin.
Can't you get sued for the false advertising?
Well, I mean, not really, because it doesn't say that explicitly, but that was it was a V-Strom because it had a V-twin. And now it doesn't have a V-twin in it.
Yeah.
It just feels
You think you
weird
could have
to
come
me.
out with like a very easily like, what kind of, what do you say, motor?
It's a parallel twin.
And call it a P-Strom, like pastrami.
That is a good idea. I bet you the enthusiast community will embrace that to differentiate that from the previous generations.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. Like, sometimes I think the people, maybe it was either, I don't know, was it a last minute decision? But again, it goes back to like these marketing companies. You don't know what they're going through. Like, we're like, okay, bad idea. But you know what? Maybe someone's granddaughter named it that, and like some of these companies just hold on to these horrible naming conventions or logos. And like, I've worked at companies that hold on to horrible logos because someone's niece in the finance department, did it, and she's in art school somewhere and it was free. And you're like, there's no good reason to keep this.
Yeah.
But it just sucks that sometimes it's just like one person with too much power made a bad decision.
I don't know where it falls specifically. It's not quite legacy fraud other than like of its own legacy. Well, it's kind of along the lines of,
I imagine they'll change it eventually someday, and then they're going to look back and be like, so let's say they change it next year. There's going to be that one model that's like wrong, that like doesn't match the naming convention. I bet you they will catch it, and then they're going to be like, oh crap.
Maybe. It's Suzuki. I think some years we're just happy they're still making motorcycles because they don't seem to be doing much. Like them coming out with a new engine is pretty crazy. The weird part is that they kept the name V-Strom. It's not exactly, but it's darn close to the way I feel about Chevy reusing the Blazer nameplate on what is essentially kind of like the Camaro SUV.
They're just trying to bank
Like a sport
equity,
SUV.
Pre-existing brand equity. They're like, oh,
But
we'll
it's not transferable. Like the K5 Blazer was this giant, full-size, body-on-frame, like off-road SUV. Then you have the S10 Blazer, smaller, still body-on-frame. You know, SUV, work-oriented, not sport-oriented. And then you bring the name back from the dead and put it on this sport SUV. It doesn't share any of the heritage. It's a unibody. I don't know.
I'm sure these conversations were had. It's just unfortunate that as consumers, we don't have the transparency to understanding. Maybe they don't think we're entitled to it. But I think sometimes just companies are so deep in their reasoning that they don't want to like be vulnerable in explaining why they do what they do. But sometimes that vulnerability leads to respect. So maybe
I'd love to understand the decision to keep the V-Strom name other than trying to ride on what it has established for itself in the motorcycle space. And like, we have a new engine. We don't want to shake things up too much. So we're going to keep the nameplate the same. So previous V-Strom owners may buy it. But if previous V-Strom owners bought the V-Strom because it was a V-twin, I feel like they're going to be disappointed in some way. It may be a fine engine.
They really, on their Instagram, a lot of their posts only have less than 10 comments.
Suzuki?
Yeah, so maybe you can go on there and like ask them or send them a message. It doesn't look like they respond, but for having like 1.1 million followers, their engagement is horrible.
Yeah. Like I said, they're kind of a weird brand. We're just happy they're still making motorcycles most of the time.
High five, Suzuki. We're proud of you.
We're excited you're still here and maybe coming out with a variable valve timing Hayabusa.
And like all our viewers, we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
We're glad you're still here.
Yeah.
Viewers, listeners. Yeah, thank God they aren't viewing. I like doing this in my pajamas.
We're going to add video eventually.
I'm not looking forward to that. Neither are my pajamas.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. The only kind of other stuff. So, garage updates. Figured out why the Scarabeo was dying on us on that last trip.
Oh, yeah? It's not because it didn't want to ride 100 miles?
No.
Over 5 hours?
It wanted to go much further.
Maybe its attention span was just not having it.
It said it wants to go at least 1,000 nonstop.
Oh, bless its
with
soul.
you on it.
Oh, I think you're
told
wrong.
me.
I think that was lost in
It told
translation.
me. So, I'm looking it over. Intake valves were a little out. Went ahead and readjusted the intake valve clearance. While I'm looking at the idle screw and the idle air mixture screw, I'm double checking vacuum lines, and it has a vacuum pulse fuel pump. So it uses the vacuum pulses of the intake basically to move a diaphragm back and forth to pump fuel over to the carburetor from the fuel tank.
Okay.
Thankfully, the previous owner had put a clear line on.
So you could see, like, if it was moving the liquid?
Whoa, there shouldn't be any liquid in the vacuum line. It should just be air. But there was fuel in it. Yeah.
You're suffocating it.
It was drawing fuel through the vacuum lines into the intake, so dumping
like
unmetered
flooding?
fuel.
What is the terminology
Yeah, basically,
for
it was
that?
kind of flooding itself. Yeah.
So you fixed it?
Yep, new fuel pump.
She can breathe?
Yep. Disassembled it just to make sure it was
Just for
exactly
fun?
what it looked like. And yeah, sure enough, there's a hole in the diaphragm, and it was just,
Oh
it
my
was
goodness.
still
She
functioning.
had liquid in her. Liquid in her lungs. She had pneumonia.
Yeah, Scarabeo had pneumonia. But yeah, new fuel pump seems to be sorted out. Take it out, verify all that. It's good. The Royal Alloy.
You were just on a scooter kick this week, weren't you?
Yep.
Is it over? Are you squared away? Is your soul at rest?
Yeah,
with the
once I know
scooters?
that the Scarabeo's done, kind of squared away for scooters, although I did make the joke the other day. It's getting cooler. It's like, I feel like the motorcycle or motorcyclist equivalent of sweater weather is scooter weather. Because when it's cold, there's something to be said for having a leg shield.
Yes.
It's just
I think anything below what we were out and it was mid-60s the other day, and I could have benefited from a leg shield. I've never ridden with one though, so I guess that's probably good.
You have in a parking lot, just not when it was cold.
Yeah, it was a bajillion degrees.
Yeah. But yeah, so hopefully Scarabeo, it's acting normal on the lift. We'll get it down, take it out for a ride. The Royal Alloy though, man, that thing, I went back and forth with it. It is dialed. It is running so good. That thing rips up to about 45. Now,
Then what happens?
it tapers off a bit, but it'll do kind of 50s-ish, low 50s, pretty reliably flat ground. I've been really trying to get it to the point that it'll hold 45 up a hill. It's not quite there, but it's dropping less speed up a hill.
Can it do that? Are you trying to get it to do something it doesn't want to do?
No, it should be able to. Now, I think putting a more open exhaust on it is going to help that out a bit. So that's on the list of eventuallys. But for where I normally ride it, it's fantastic right now.
Okay.
I'm sure with enough flat ground and low traffic, it'd probably do 60. But
The wind. Maybe a wind at your back.
yeah, wind at my back. But running fantastic. So other than eventually an exhaust there and double checking the Scarabeo, I have, I think, no excuses left
Not to ride?
one to ride, but to not get started on putting the water pump gasket in the Honda. So it's kind of first big fall/winter project. The CX500
Well,
needs
is
a
it
water
fall
pump
or winter
gasket.
yet? Are you going to wait? Are you going to actually enjoy the bikes while you can, or are you just going to keep tearing them apart?
No, I'm still going to enjoy them while I can, but that's going to be the next big project on the lift.
Yeah, I'd say if you have a break until winter, then
Yeah.
get out and ride while you can.
Yep. Definitely.
By yourself. It's great to clear your head by yourself.
Yeah. I think, I didn't double check. We were darn close to 200 downloads if we're not there already. So start planning that 200-mile ride. Yeah.
In a car.
Yeah.
I really like my temperature controlled on my heated seats. Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, go buy stickers. We have stickers. You can start collecting them for your Motocompacto on our website.
Yep.
We may make a Motocompacto sticker.
Yep.
That
Keep an eye
idea
out.
kind of excites me just because it should. I don't know what I'd put on the side of it. I feel like it's kind of it's a blank canvas. So, yeah, let's get
I
ahead
think
of
it'd
the
be
curve
funny
here.
to have a tiny Motocompacto sticker to put on your Motocompacto.
It's like Inception,
Yes.
Motocompacto Inception. I wish they would have picked a different name. It's so many syllables.
Yeah.
Moto C. I don't know. I feel like it needs a nickname. Compacto?
Yeah.
Sounds
just
like
call it
a garbage
Compacto.
disposal.
Or a trash compactor.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, work on the Motocompacto sticker or plural stickers. We'll figure something out.
Everything can be a Motocompacto sticker if it's put on a Motocompacto.
That is very true. That is very true.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
For
Until
next
next time. See ya.
Bye.